So, what's short and fat and is about to give you a load of tips and advice on wild camping. Wow. What up, you damn dirty apes? The sun is shining, birds are singing, daffodils are blooming, which means spring is just around the corner. And this time of year means old wild campers, new wild campers are all trawling the internet for inspiration and ideas. So I thought I'd whip into the woods today and do a comparison between three of the main methods people use for wild camping. You never know, you might find it informative. Or you might just like seeing a fat beardy bloke walking through the mud. Anyhow, let's get into the woods and I'll show you what I mean. Right, before I start, just a little a side note here of the dangers of wild camping, certainly in woodland with all of the wind and everything we've been having. Now, I normally camp just up behind as one of my many sites, and I was toying of doing this the other day as well, but as you can see by this fallen tree just here, if you was laid underneath that, it would bloody leave room for a scab. And when you see where that's come from, you can see just how dangerous that is. Now on the plus side, this is going to be great for gathering a bit of fire, not firewood, fat wood, for fire lighting and things like that. But you've always got to make sure, check around you, make sure nothing's going to fall on your head and stuff like that. I know not everyone woodland camps, but that is a stark reminder of just how dodgy it can be. There we go, look, you can see another 1, 2, 3 trees down. You can see they're all fresh because they've all got green furs and that on them. Don't go killing yourself. It shortens the time you can go camping. So, let's get straight into it then. The three methods of camping I'm going to be showing you today will be tarp camping, tent and hammock. I'll run through the pros and cons of all of them as I'm setting them up. And yeah, I think we'll start with the tarp. As you can see, with the tarp, in comparison to the tent, very lightweight, a very small pack size. This is a DD 3x3, and as you can see, it packs down rather small. What weight is it? 790 grams, so you're under a kilo. The good thing about these is you can rig them up a multitude of different ways. I always use mine above my hammock to keep me dry. You can have group shelters, or you can make them into tarp tents, lean-tos. There's loads and loads of different ways. If you check in the description, I'll put a little picture there of 66 different varieties of tarp shelter you can do. If you are going to pick a tarp, 3x3 is about the least you really want to be getting away with. But it's very important, the more tie-outs you have, which are indicated by these dots, the better. If you buy one with 6 tie-outs, which should just be each corner and middle, you're going to be limited to the configurations you can put it up in. But what I'll do now, I'm going to set this up in a tarp tent sort of configuration, so you can see how much room you have in it, how easy it is to do as opposed to a tent. I'm not going to worry too much about clearing the area because I'm not actually staying in it, but the most simple and basic and most commonly used tarp tent is the one I'm just about to show you. Lay your tarp out flat on the floor. Right. Come in from the corner, 1 tie out and peg down. Same on the other side. Come in from the corner, 1 tie out, peg down. Same on the other side. Come up to the front, find your centre, bring the corner into the next tie out, which is halfway towards the centre, and you peg the corner in that position. Same again the other side. Bring your corner to where that tie out is and peg down the corner. One times walking pole, stick or whatever cut to length. I really need to get some more walking poles. A little way in, put that up like so, attach a bit of string to the front, get a peg, now it's my fault using rubbish pegs. Now what you can do here, if I've got any in there, have I? Possibly not. You now go around and tighten everything up. These side areas, just get a little bit of a cordage, tie them to the loops. You can peg out as much as you need. Let's just do that here. This isn't ideal, I'm just doing it quickly, just to show you. Right, you can peg all that down, you flap the bits in at the back, and I'll take you for a quick tour around and show you the size inside. The other thing I normally do as well is where you have that tie out there, I'll either have a stick inside lifting that up or tie it off to a tree or put a stick in the ground and pull it out. These corners get tucked underneath, and as you can see, that gives you ample room as a shelter. The pros for this shelter: cost. You can pick up a decent sized 3x3 tarp with all the tie outs from anywhere between 30 to 50 pounds. You can obviously get bigger ones, which mean a bigger shelter. The versatility of it, you can make tents like that. You saw how long it took me to make, no time whatsoever. All different sorts of applications. You can even use them to carry stuff in, you can use them as stretchers. They are the most versatile bit of kit you will come across when you're out and about in the woods. Being able to cook inside is a big bonus because it's ventilated. Downsides to them: if you don't use a bug net for your head or some sort of mesh bivvy, you can wake up with a slug on your face. Not going to lie to you, but you're sleeping in the middle of nowhere. You've got to roll with the punches a bit, ain't you? Obviously, you're not completely sheltered with the front being open. Once again, I actually prefer that. makes you feel in touch with the elements, and you can see what's going out about you. Now there have been instances, Reelabrand, for example, he was sleeping in a similar sort of thing, and he did get jumped on by a fox. I think he bit his foot. Haha. Anyway, so yes, for a first time a bit of kit, or a bit of kit that an experienced pro may use, you really can't go wrong with a tarp. Cheap, lightweight, versatile. If you like slugs on your face, a boosh. So as we have a look inside, you can just see the room you have in there. There's acres of space. You can easily sleep 2 fully grown men and all their kit, or 3 midgets and a Shetland pony. Another big bonus with this type of shelter, when you do get in and your pee wet through and your kit's wet through, if you only put down the ground sheet where you're laying, all your kit's in the dry, but it's filtering off directly onto the ground, so you don't wake up in puddles, which is always a bonus. I love them. I'll be honest with you, I tarp camp all of the time. I prefer them to tents, but that's just me. I'm going to whack this down now, and we'll go on to the hammock. So then, the next bit of kit I've got to show you is a trusty old hammock. Without doubt, my favourite sort of camping in the woods. It does need to be accompanied by a tarp, unless it's a glorious sunny day, and depending on what time of year, you do buy them with bug nets attached. You can buy separate bug nets, which is what I use with this one. This is one I've made myself. You need protection underneath, because obviously it does get, it gets cold with the wind blowing underneath you. It does make your butt a bit nippy. You can use pads with them. You can make your own underquilts, which is something you can search for, but as comfort goes, nothing in my eyes can beat a hammock. One thing I would say, over in the UK, for some bizarre reason, we have real issues with getting big hammocks, as in long hammocks. What I would say is you want it probably as wide as you are tall, and my personal preference is a 10.5, 11 foot hammock with a static ridge line, which is 83% the length of that hammock. I'll show you what I mean with this. What it means is that you can lie diagonally and get completely flat. Now, a lot of people worry about falling out of these. I've never fallen out of a hammock. I've had the straps go on me and I've landed on my arse, but I've never fallen out of one. I'm going to set it up now and I'll talk you through. I won't bother putting the tarp up, but the tarp goes over the top in many different configurations just to keep the rain off you. So I'll set this up and bring you in to show you around. So let's take you in for a closer look. This is what I mean by the ridge line. This hammock is 10.5 foot long, which made that ridge line not 10.5 foot long. Do the math. So 330, not 330 mil, 3,300 mil times 0.83 will give you the length of this line. Now what that means is you can attach pouches and stuff to this, you can attach mozzie nets to this. It sets up the same way every time, as you can see, so you always get the perfect lie. You saw how quick it was to set up. Yeah, really good. As I said before though, when you're hanging up in the air, the wind does blow underneath. So there are many ways to get around that. One is to sleep with a pad, like you would on the floor. So you're going to need to carry a pad whether you're with a tent or a tarp anyway. Another way is an underquilt. Now what an underquilt does, it's basically like a sleeping bag for the hammock. So it will attach at either end, sit under the hammock, and that will catch the warm air from underneath and keep you nice and toasty. That's what I use. I've made a couple of them, brilliant homemade ones, and I've just bought one from One Tigress, which also works a treat. Big, but works a treat. As I say, I've never fallen out of one. What I'll do now, I'll jump in, I'll show you how to get in it, and yeah, we'll go from there. One thing I would say, I would recommend to anybody making it. You get to make your own length, your own width, and yeah, it's a little bit of a sense of achievement. Anyway, I've got to take my catapults and stuff out of my pocket, and we'll give it a go. Pluses and minuses of hammock camping. Pluses: the hammock itself is very lightweight. Minuses: you have got to take a lot of kit with you, like a tarp, underquilt, etc., to make it a comfortable night's kip in the colder months. You can get them pretty cheap. They're very simple to make a DIY thing. You can hang off your hammock with your stove down next to you and cook your breakfast, which is a big bonus. Comfort: yeah, I'll carry twice the amount of kit if it meant getting the night's sleep that I get in a hammock. Downside: you can get cold underneath unless you've rigged it up proper, and with the exception of one time, and I've camped a lot, I always get up about 3-4 o'clock in the morning for a wee. Yeah, but yeah, all your kit's around you, your kit stays dry. It's brilliant. I really can't fault it. I'm trying to think if there's any more pluses or minuses with hammocks. Obviously you're limited to where you can set them up, because you need trees. I have made hammock stands that attach to my car. There are ways and means that you can get around it. There are mobile products out there, but they all cost the earth. That's the other thing as well. If you do go for the higher end hammocks, like the war bonnets, the chrysalis, the Dutch wear gear and all this sort of stuff, it is bloody expensive. I'm not saying it's not worth it, because war bonnet, from what I've seen, is a phenomenal bit of kit, and I will be getting one eventually when I can warrant it. But that setup there cost me in total probably a tenner. You can pick them up online from £10 upwards. I have got expensive hammocks as well. One of the ones I've got is a Hennessy, which you get in from underneath. Brand new, I think they're about 150 quid, I don't know. That thing is every bit as comfortable as my Hennessy. I've got a cheap and nasty bug net that goes over the top of it for a tenner, and I've already got the tarps. I've got an underquilt for it now, so I'm probably in for the whole kit and caboodle about 100 quid. A boosh. So to get into a hammock could not be simpler. You simply find about the central point, sit down, and then spin round. With this, as I say, you lie diagonally, and once you're in, you're in. I've set this a little bit on a kilter, but you get the drift. So yeah, you do not get a more comfortable lie. Simple as. If you are going to set one up, what I would say, if you leave the foot end slightly higher than your head end, it stops you sliding down into a big ball at the end. As I say, without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite way of camping. There is absolutely no more comfortable way of hanging out in the woods. but you do need to be in the woods, which is a bit of a letdown. Anyway, shall we move on to the tent? Am I rushing through this? I don't bleeding know. I don't want to come across as if I'm some sort of expert, because there are no experts when it comes to wild camping. There are people who do it, and there are people who tell you how to do it. I do it. You know, if someone thinks it's wrong, leave a comment. Leave a rude comment, you'll probably be ignored. If you want advice on all things like hammocks, there are authorities on it, like Shug Emery, for example. He is forever out in all sorts of conditions. He will definitely steer you in the right path. For tents and stuff like that, you have the Paul Mesners of this world. He's forever up the tops of mountains. Yeah, check him out. If you just want to listen to some fat bloke giving you a little bit of advice or his own opinion, oh yeah. Right, let's go do the tent thing. Finally, we come to the tent. This is a one-man tent, packs up relatively small, not too heavy. As you know, tents have been around forever. Pros and cons with them. I've got to confess, they are my least favourite way of camping, purely because I like to be able to see out and about. Little things like, if you do get wet and you climb in your tent, you're bringing the wet in with you. If that's on your ground sheet, you've basically got pools of water everywhere. Yeah, you can't see what you're doing. With stuff like this, you haven't really got enough room for your kit. Yeah, they're just, I don't dig them, to be honest with you. You normally carry tent poles. Now, there are tents out there at the moment that use a walking pole. If you look at my coast to coast videos, you'll see me using one there. Sorry about doing the hand jive, I always do. You do get some seriously lightweight ones, and they are good bits of kit. If I'd done the coast to coast again, I would go for a tarp, without a shadow of a doubt. The tent I got was brilliant. Perhaps I could have just used the outer shell and used it like a tarp. You can, with some of the new tents, you can cook inside the vestibules, making sure the door is open, but really you should never cook inside a tent, because, you know, you could end up dead or setting a tent on fire. So that is another downside to the tents. They're great for what they do. They are the warmest, they suffer the least with condensation, but the other good thing is as well, a lot of them come and they've sort of got their own structure to them. So if your ground isn't perfect for pegging in, it will stay up a lot better than a tarp. So if you've got a rocky place, then your tarp can fall down. But if you go into a rocky place, don't take a tarp. I find the tarps far outweigh the tents for usage. Anyway, this isn't about the tarps, it's about the tents. I'm going to set this bad boy up and we'll have a quick look round. Oosh. So with this tent in particular, it is an inner first pitch, which is all well and good, but what that means is that if it is raining, the inside part of your tent gets wet first. So all we'll do, we will peg out where we need to. If you want to see any of these in use, every bit of kit I've used here, I've used on some camp or another. So just check my channel, they're all on there. Come on, get on. This one is a really simple tent to pitch. And to be fair to it, even though it's one of the cheaper tents, I'm not sure if they still make them, it is a really useful one to have. You can sit up in it, it's got a decent sized vestibule. As I say, it's just unfortunate, I'm pretty sure they don't make it anymore. It was an Argos special called the Tiger Paws tent. Oh, you bloody thing. I won't clip them all on, just get enough on to get it up. Now, as I say, I actually, although I don't like tents, I actually really like this one for its ease of use. As you can see here, just attaching the top is a case of clipping in the buckles. That's came out. No, it ain't. That's it. I'm not going to bother with the guy lines. So let's have a little look. Once again, much like the tarp tent, far from perfectly set up. I've slung it up to show you how quick you can get in the dry, and yeah, you straighten everything out. I mean, that tarp tent was possibly the worst one I've ever built, but it really don't matter. If you have a look here, you have a small vestibule area in there, maybe be able to cook. A sort of decent size sleeping area which you can sit up in, and yeah, plenty of room for a one-man tent. What is the weight on it? The weight on that doesn't tell me. I'll look it up. I think it was just either side of a kilo, but yeah, up on a hillside, if that's all pegged out, it's going to serve you really, really well. You do have the floor in it. You're not going to get the bugs in your face. Price wise for that one in particular, it's a great little bargain, but it ain't a hammock. It ain't a hammock. So cons for the tent: generally heavier, have to carry poles with you, wet inside. A lot of them you can't cook inside. You don't get to see what's around you. Pros for the tent: generally warmer, generally more sturdy in windy conditions if you're pegged out. I've got to be careful how I say that, because I've been in tarps in like 70, 80, 90 mile an hour winds, and they've held absolutely fine because they were set up correctly. I've been in tents that have flapped just as bad. What I'm trying to say is, because they have their own almost internal structure, they're more secure with weaker pegging out. If you peg your tarp out right, it performs every bit as good as a tent, in my eyes. I can hear you shouting as well. What about bivvy camping? What about natural shelters? Obviously, natural shelters are a brilliant way when you're out being a bushcraft bastard. Yeah, absolutely nothing against them. With all the weather we've been having, I've just not really got time to knock up a natural shelter. And as for bivvies, hooped bivvies, bivvy bags in my eyes have a place. Yeah, you can pitch up anywhere you bleeding like, just sling it over you, you stay dry. Once again, same problem with the slugs in your face. But hooped bivvies, I don't want to offend anyone out there, but I really can't see the point in them. You've got to leave your kit outside. Most people I see put a tarp over the top of them. Might as well sleep in a tarp. Cramped. Yeah, you're waterproof. Yeah, you're warm. but you're sleeping in the coffin. But that's just my opinion. Go out, there's plenty of people that love them. They're also pretty expensive. Sorry if you were seeing that the whole time, but I'm not reshooting it because I don't do takes. So yeah. So what have you learnt today? You've learnt that my presentation skills are abysmal. You have learnt that I have a huge bias for hammocks and tarps over tents. And you will have people telling you about all the woes of hammock camping. Now, as I said, there are no experts when it comes to wild camping. What I can tell you, those people are fucking idiots. No, they're not. They're wrong, but they're wrong for the right reasons. Hammock all day long. Get a long one, get a wide one, get a ridge line. You will not get a comfy night's sleep. Simple as. Tarps. You've always got them with you. British Army bashers. They have such a wide variety of uses. They're quick to pitch, quick to get up. If you're caught in a sudden thunderstorm, you can tie it between two trees, peg it out, you're done in no time. You saw how quick that tarp tent took to knock up. Brilliant. But you do get bugs to the face, blah, 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 blah. Tents. They're like gas stoves. Absolutely brilliant at the utility they're designed for, but they've got no soul. Simple as. And for all you tent lovers like you, talking to you, Paul Mesner, you're wrong. Right. Get yourself into tarp camping. Feel liberated. That's what you'll do. It don't matter if you knock your tea over when you're in your bed, because it just soaks into the ground. Anyway, I'm going to pack all this shizzle up, put that tent away, because that has not seen the light of day for 2 years and probably won't see the light of day for another 2 years. Or I could go and do a camp with it. But this weather's meant to be closing in now, so I am going to make like a shepherd. Thanks again to everyone that supported me. I've just broken the 3,000 sub mark. I am proper waffling shite now, so I'll give your ears a rest. Ta-ra!